We have a presentation to start off, and I'm going to call on our manager to get that going. It deals with the 2021 Township Action Plan work groups and their updates.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, board. When we set our action plan for 2021, we came up with a concept of let's get more people involved than just the staff. Let's make this an entire team effort. And so we about 6 weeks ago, the board put together the work groups, and there are board members and staff assigned to each of our 10 of the board's 10 goals on our action plan. And every other month, you'll get an update from all 10 of them. All of us are going to go round robin very quickly as called upon by the supervisor for a minute or two, just to update, maybe up to 3 minutes, but no more on each of the goals. So I'll start with COVID under the first goal. We have our pods still set up. Not sure yet whether we're going to use those or not. That's yet to be determined. We've been using the boardroom for taxes. The tax season is over. And of course, Clerk Guthrie has said she's going to be using the boardroom for her voting center. So all voting will take place in there in the protected environment for the people who decide to come in and vote in person. We've installed new drinking fountains that are much more let's say, focused on protecting the employees. They're much easier to use, and I want to thank everyone for making that happen. We're working a flexible schedule here at the township. We have been for months. We continue with casual wear, and you say, well, what does that have to do with COVID? Well, there's a lot of things we're trying to do for people's mental health. It's more than just potentially of getting COVID. It's making people more comfortable at work. We have a once a month on a Friday, we have an hour that's devoted to mental health. We all get on a screen, we share stories, we get to know each other, and there's a few prizes available. And we average about 55 to 60 employees per month. And it's been a real popular thing. We still have a work from home program, and I'm proud to say that we've been safe and we've been open since June 8th, since the state of Michigan was reopened on June 8th for that little closure between March and June. We have been open every day to serve the public. That's kind of what we're doing with COVID. I turn it back to you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you. We'll now call on our deputy manager, Derek Perry, to talk about the sustainability goal.
Good evening, and thank you. The most progress we've made on that is in regards to the solar panel that's going to be sited at the Township Service Center. That's going to be a 100 kilowatt AC panel that will provide 100% of the energy use at the service center. For comparison, the municipal solar panel provides about 8% of our annual usage, where this solar array at the service center will be 100%. So we're pretty excited to see that forthcoming. We should have the agreement in place by March, and they're anticipating a completion by midsummer. So we should have the panel in place for peak solar use.
I take it that's your report.
That's my report.
Okay. We'll now move on to the diversity goal, and I'll call on our HR Director, Abby Titoff.
Thank you, Supervisor Steiga. Hello, board. Well, since my arrival in August of 2020, township leadership and our trustees have been meeting regularly to discuss and plan our development and enhancement of our township's diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and practices. We have created our mission statement, which is to promote and support a diverse, equitable, and inclusive workforce through training, evaluation, and action. Thank you to the board for recently approving our proposed non-discrimination and fair employment practices policy, which we have in place to remove the request for criminal activity disclosure from our township's job application process to ensure fair opportunity for candidates based on skills and experience. Our next planned step in the DEI process is leadership training, which helps us connect our individual understandings of DEI concepts and best practices and apply it to how we lead and model expected and appropriate behaviors, as we also look forward to including training for staff. Hopefully, we're close to approaching the return of in-person training opportunities with any hope. We look forward to sharing with you what we continually learn along the way, building upon strengths and learning to mindfully and collectively navigate our challenges. Honest conversation about our progress benefits the township and our residents and ensures that we're consistently striving for alignment and taking positive action.
Okay, thank you very much. We now go to the downtown Okemos and Hampton development areas, and we'll call on our neighborhood and development director, Amber, to talk about that.
Good evening, Township Board. The first goal and small task that we needed to complete this year for Village of Okemos was demolition for all 6 buildings. That was initially planned and proposed to be down and finished by the end of January. And we're happy to see developers were able to complete that before mid-January. The next step in the process will be to wait until after our wonderful thaw. It looks like spring might come a little bit early this year, fingers crossed. At that time, then the Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy will have to do a final walkthrough since they have some reimbursement and some dollars in financing tied up in that project. So they are incentivized to follow that timeline. Following Eagle's final walkthrough, they will be permitted to do site or surface parking demolition. That's the surface parking lot, sidewalks, curb cuts, and all of those things. And begin preparing the site for site preparation, which is putting in footings and foundation for the big build. Pine Village will begin their demolition again, and this is 1673 Hazlitt Road. I want to address that there's been some stirring and concern because a lot of Hazlitt community residents are seeing the businesses that were in that block move. And they probably don't want to still be occupying the building when they're tearing it down. The beauty is that all of the businesses that were occupying that space have found a new home within Meridian Township, many of them within Hazlitt. And not everyone was able to find a new location within Hazlitt, but they did still call Meridian Township their home. And so I want to reiterate that they're not being pushed out, that the reason why they're no longer there is because we're preparing for the site. And so Hungry House was one of the last to find a new home in Meridian Township, and they will begin preparing their additional financing options. And that is my report.
Thank you very much. By the way, we're holding our questions to the end in case we have any. Next, we're going on to Derek again, the roads.
We're down to E already, huh? So with the roads, local road program, the plan is to do almost 18 miles worth of road work this summer. Currently, we're finishing up the quality assurance, quality control, QA/QC on the final designs. Expect to have bids received to us by the end of March and anticipate a May start. April will be doing the notifications to the residents. So that's where we are timeline wise.
Keeping it short, thank you. We'll now move on to the broadband goal, and then we'll call on Mr. Director Kieselbach for that.
Good evening and thank you. The work group has met to discuss this. Broadband, or what's referred to as high-speed internet, it's simple to say that we need it. It's more complex on the number of issues and how do we reach that goal. Our concern is some of the things that we're going to need to study, whether it's through data collection or mapping, is how people are being served currently, what type of access they have related to the internet, the speed and the type, who is being served. Are there areas in the township that are underserved or have no service at all? Who are the providers in the township? The type of infrastructure that we have and what cost or expense to use that for the expansion of broadband. So these are just some of those issues. And again, one other issue is the cost to all this. So we really, that's our starting point, to need to know that information. This is being looked at by many communities in Michigan. I know there was some sharing of information where communities have reached out, hired consultants to help them do this data collection. So that's our starting point. The second thing is, once we know that, then we have a better understanding and be able to go out and actually do a survey of the businesses and the residents on what their concerns are, what their needs are. to finalize that. So that's in sort of a summary of what we're looking at doing.
Hey, thank you. Because we can't get enough of them, we're now going to call on Derek to talk about the MSU Lake Lansing MSU Lake Lansing pathway.
Yes, yes, a little more information with this one. So phase one, we're anticipating finishing up design and going to bid on that probably late fall. We have a significant TAP grant through the state of Michigan, and we need to execute that in order to keep those funds. Phase two, looking at the majority of that this summer, construction on that, and then phase 2B actually this spring. So breaking that portion of the pathway into a couple different pieces to make it manageable. We do have a pathway master plan, and the Transportation Commission will be meeting in actually the 18th of this month at 7 p.m. We're going to start the process of the pathway master plan review. So it'll start there, and I'm sure it'll matriculate to all the other boards and commissions that we have in the township, but that's where we developed the pathway map for the next 5 years. So I encourage the public to pay attention to that and provide us input in regards to that. Also with that, Parks Department was successful in acquiring a piece of property on Okemos Road, actually next to the service center. That's going to be utilized not only for a new entrance into Nancy Moore Park, but also kind of as a mid-trail hub for the MSU to Lake Lansing pathway. So one of the issues we always hear about is where are some restrooms available for the public. So we think we found a good site there. So look for that. The acquisition should take probably the rest of this year, and then we'll start design on that. So that'll be a nice addition to the pathway. And then also a project's being done in conjunction with the some dollars from the county on a new pathway trails map. So the residents can have a nice pocket map to take out and about when they're going to plan their bike trips or visit parks. So we've got some dollars again from the county for that too. So a lot of projects going on with your pathway system.
Okay. Thank you very much. And because obviously he's 4 times better than his Boston manager, we have again, Derek.
Man, poor manager's getting some zingers tonight.
Here.
So the signs, we've contracted with Corbin Design out of Traverse City. They're a regional expert in wayfinding signage, and they're assisting us with a sign master plan. And that will involve our new gateway signs, new monument signs here for the municipal building, wayfinding signage here on the campus itself, and then potentially some park signage too. So they've just received our brand logos and colors. So we're very excited to get their preliminary design plan back to us here shortly. So once that's in place, we'll present that to the board and be requesting some funding so we can start branding the community.
The hard part. Okay, we now go on to the website. I think we're going to hear from Brandy. We have a change of personnel here. Brandy.
Yes, thank you, Supervisor Steiga, and good evening, Township Board. So as you know, our township website is operated by Granicus as our website software platform, and we are working with them on a refresh is what this project is called, because it's not a brand new website, it's a refresh in design, look and feel of our current website with the same CMS, the back end of the website, if you will, to manage the site. So that will be the same. We signed the agreement for this project. The township has accrued site improvement credits since the implementation of this website with the original contract in 2000, when it was launched in 2017. So the website refresh itself, there is no cost associated to that for the township. However, in the communications department, we did budget for some ADA compliance, additional training and assistance with making all of our documents, image labeling, and the site itself to be more ADA compliant. So that cost is a very low cost that will be covered by the communications department. This project is expected to take 6 months, and the very first step, Granicus will come in and analyze the data of the current township website pages and provide a heat map with the most visited pages, the most search responses to help with navigation and design work for this new website. refresh, not new website, refresh. I would like to point out that this is a website's a living and breathing thing. So every 2 to 3 years, it should be reevaluated and redesigned for the technology available. Since the implementation, Granicus has launched a number of new, they call them widgets, and different platforms that can be utilized to make the website more robust. So we will be working on that. And then I was going to say one more thing, and I've lost my train of thought, so I will leave it at that. Actually, I just found it. Thank you. The new website refresh allows for video content to be on the front page in the rotator banner. So we are very excited to be able to include more video content within the website. So thank you. That is my report.
And be careful with widgets, you know, law schools and schools of economics, using that term for years, you know. All right, lastly, we have our retirement mirror system, and our finance director, Miriam Madison, will talk about that.
Good evening, Township Board. And I'm here to wrap up our goals with the additional funding that we're going to put to our MERS pension. The township has budgeted over 4.7 million contribution into our MERS program for 2021. How we're doing that is we're using a 5.35 assumption, which is lower, a rate of return, which is lower than what MERS is suggesting us use. And then with that, we're going to contribute 1.5 million, specifically going to our police and fire. We really look forward to receiving our actuarial report from MERS within the next couple of months. I think we had a really good year last year, and I believe we've got some good numbers to report to you here in the future. For the police department, to try to keep our police at our levels, we have 2 openings, and currently we're sponsoring 2 cadets into the police academy so that we can fill those positions. We also have 2 openings with our fire department, and they're looking at sponsoring some people through the fire academy also for that, to try to keep our numbers up for that. And that's it for my report.